Around Murray's Corner on a standing start. The finish line, which essentially runs under the pedestrian bridge, is some 143 metres back before the garages on pit lane, which makes it simple for lap counting purposes during a race. Hell Corner is so named not because of the difficulty drivers encounter on this first turn as they jockey for position, but because in the early days of the track there was a tree stump on the apex of this corner. It was mused by local of the time that, should a motorbike rider get this turn wrong, they would die in an act of folly, and thereby be doomed to an eternity of death, having no time to repent of their sin. After clearing Hell Corner, Mountain Straight opens up ahead of the drivers. This 1,100 metre stretch is a gradual climb where cars are pushed to near top speeds, with supercars reaching up to 250 kilometres an hour just after the crest, which is 700 metres along. Griffin's Bend was named after the Mayor of Bathurst, Martin Griffin, whose vision it was to create this scenic racetrack. The right-hand turn has a negative camber, meaning the road tilts away from the turn, so drivers have to be careful to hold tight to the right and not drift too far out, or they'll slide and hit the left-hand wall upon exit. This corner is often called by the advertising sponsor's name, being known as GTX Bend, the corner's first ever sponsor, and Castrol Curve in the early 70s. Two sharp left-hand turns make up the cutting. Overtaking is virtually impossible here, and should you spin, it is difficult to recover because of the narrowness and extremely steep gradient on the exit. A long right-hand turn leading up the hill makes up Reed Park. In the early laps of the 1980 race, it was here that Dick Johnson crashed his Ford Falcon as he tried to avoid a large rock which had fallen onto the track from the spectators' area. This next area is known as Sulman Park. Here the drivers brave a steep drop flowing into a climbing left-hand turn as they head back towards the summit of Mount Panorama. In 1998, Jason Bright crashed his Ford Falcon in practice, but miraculously, his team rebuilt the car in time to scrape into qualifying in the dying moments. Get ready to pull over at John Hinksman Vista Lookout, which is on the inside of the track. As soon as you go under the sign and over Skyline, pull over on the inside of the track. That sharply descending right-hand corner, which begins the descent from the mountain, is Skyline. The corner acquired its name from the visual effect when looking at the drop-off from below. The initial plunge is so sharp that all you can see when you look back is Skyline. It's now named Brocky's Skyline, after the legendary driver Peter Brock. Continuing out of Skyline are the S's, a series of corners which stretch down the mountain. The most famous of the S's, the Dipper, the fourth and last in the sequence. So named because before safety changes, there was a big dip in the road surface, and then a steep drop not far from the edge of the road. Many cars used to get two wheels off the ground here, sometimes having their left front wheel dangling over the edge of the track before the safety barriers were erected. Let's take off again now, but take care as you tackle this challenging part of the track. The elbow is a slow, descending left-hand turn that leads onto the long main straight. The corner's line drifts towards the outside wall, and drivers have to be wary of getting too close on exit. Once they have made the turn successfully, there is only the kink, a slight left bend before drivers can open the cars up down the long straight. The elbow, or Forrest elbow, was named after Jack Forrest, a motorcycle racer who scraped his elbow away after laying down his bike. In 1983, Dick Johnson destroyed his car during the top 10 qualifying shootout and had to borrow and repaint a replacement car to start the race the following day. Formerly known as Main Straight, Conrod Straight is a roller coaster ride featuring two distinct crests, the second of which was rebuilt in 1987. It's the fastest section of the Mount Panorama circuit, with today's supercars reaching speeds of around 300 kilometres per hour. Conrod Straight was so named because of a connecting rod, or conrod failure, that ended the 1939 Easter race of Frank Kleinig in his Kleinig Hudson race car. He was lucky to survive. There have been several high-speed deaths in this part of the circuit since. Like many parts of the track, the chase is often called by its original sponsor's name, Caltex Chase. This three-turn sequence, introduced in 1987, was designed to reduce terminal speeds down the straight. Instead, he's created one of the fastest corners in the world, with most drivers arriving into the initial part of the chicane at over 290 kilometres per hour. The chase starts with Australia's fastest bend, which descends to the right, away from the dangerous crest near the Spectators Bridge. Drivers then have to abruptly reduce speeds to approximately 120 kilometres an hour to take on the sharp left-hand bend. The exiting right-hand corner returns competitors to the old part of the straight. It's here where drivers would make their final blast down to Murray's Corner, or exit into the pit lane, which is what we would like you to do. Don't go too far down though.